I wanted to ask the panel a question from Karen. How hopeful do you feel about the future? And if you do feel hopeful, where do you draw that optimism from?
I'm very hopeful, and I draw the optimism from all these amazing founders and young people I work with. So the other day I met this 16-year-old, no, not 16, he's 19 now, kid who is not going to uni anymore because he's working on an enzyme to recycle contaminated plastic waste. He's just 19-year-old, and he has raised around 2 million pounds already. And I talked, and I was telling him about my other challenges, and he was telling, why can't we re-engineer this bamboo to make bamboo fiber and everything? And I'm so inspired. I meet 16-year-olds talking about blockchain, and you know, that is where the optimism is from. And I hear 9-year-olds asking me tough questions, and that's where the optimism comes from. And that's why I also put myself in contact with these young people who really are very innovative and thinking way beyond what we're thinking, you know, solving problems. And that's where it comes from, and that's where it keeps me going as well.
Thank you. Orit, what about you? How optimistic do you feel? And if you do have optimism, where do you draw it from?
I am very optimistic. First of all, like Dhruv said, because you see the change around us, and you see where education is, and you see where the mindset of younger generations are, but also because I think we've crossed the threshold where actually being green is right from a business perspective. You've reached that threshold where you can actually make money out of it. You can sustain your business in the long term, and businesses are beginning to understand that. And I think that once that actually kicks in, we're going to see huge acceleration. And the last element is that actual politicians, leaders are reacting to this adaptation, and they've noticed the adaptation in the mindset across the markets and across citizens' attitudes, and are beginning to create those structural policy shifts that are necessary.
Thank you, Orit. And Mike, what about you?
The weighing scales, on one side, the science is desperately bleak. The climate crisis, biodiversity crisis, plastics pollution, poverty, inequality, hunger. Everything's in a dreadful place on that side of it. And the forces of reaction that are clinging on to making money from that old system are still powerful, still dark, still out there fighting against us. But they will be beaten, because on the other side of the scales, we've got 7.6 billion people on the planet saying, we recognize now that we're in a dire place, and we expect politicians and business leaders to work with us to solve this. Secondly, as we've all said, we have the solutions. This is not about inventing something in 30 or 40 years' time that doesn't exist today. 80 or 90% of what we need to do to be a truly sustainable economy and society exists today. It's about engaging people, that critical word tonight with you as an audience, to adopt them and use them. And that side of the scale is going to prevail. And in part because brilliant people like you listening to this call stand up, step forward, and make it happen.